Hello, everyone. And of course, very welcome, dear Lama Tsering Everest. Today we have another Khyentse Vision session, and today's text of the month, of course, by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo, is called Droplets of Nectar. And it's a very pithy vajra song, with all the important points of the stages of the path. And I'm sure most of you know Lama Tsering Everest, but just a very brief introduction. Lama was born in the US and then became a long-term student of Chagdud Tulku Rinpoche, also served him as a translator for 11 years. She completed a 3-year retreat in 95 and then was ordained and recognized by Rinpoche as a lineage holder of the Red Tārā. And Rinpoche authorized her to transmit these teachings and empowerments. And also that year, then she accepted the invitation to move to Brazil and then teach there. And she's not only teaching there, but she's traveling around the globe, across Brazil, Chile, Australia, New Zealand, North America, and also Europe this year. And it's a big honor to have you here. Lamala, thank you so much for accepting this invitation. And before we start with the prayers, I also wanted to invite Dolma, our fearless project holder, to say a few words.
I just really want to join Anna in welcoming you, Lama Tsering Everest, and also especially to thank you for taking the time and making space in your schedule to teach for us. There's something really, we work so hard to translate and publish these beautiful, extraordinary texts, but often they kind of remain unnoticed in our reading room. And it's the whole purpose of what we do is to try to bring them to life and let people have access to them and let people really experience the preciousness and the blessings and gain some insights from them. So to have you here as a special guest teacher to teach on this text for us is really, really important and such a privilege and an honor, and really helps to make the whole fruition of what we're trying to do really manifest. And so thank you again for your kindness and your generosity in being here.
I'm very happy to be here. But right to begin with, I think that we should have you only give the lung.
Okay, let's do that. Can we start with the prayers? So first of all, also I wanted to mention we have Christina translating into Spanish, we have Masha into Russian, and then Luciano into Portuguese, and Olivia into French. And let's do the prayers first. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha sublime, we seek refuge until awakening by the virtue of our giving and the like. May we awaken to benefit all. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha sublime, we seek refuge until awakening. By virtue of our giving and the like, may we awaken to benefit all. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha sublime, we seek refuge until awakening. By the virtue of our giving and the like, may we awaken to benefit all. The blessing of Manjushri appearing as the emanation of Vimalamitra, the 13th rebirth of Gyaltse Laje, Pema Dongak Lingpa, holder of the 7 special transmissions, Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo, to you we pray. The earth is perfumed with scented water and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. Imagining this as the Buddha realm, I offer it, so that all beings may enjoy that pure realm. Idam Go Ratna Mandala Kamnyarya Tayam. In accordance with the capabilities and the diverse aspirations of sentient beings, we ask you to please turn the wheel of Dharma of the greater, lesser, or conventional vehicles. Yeah, but Lamala just said she wrote me like 1 hour ago if I could give the lung, and of course I'm happy to do that because I received it from Tsongtse Khyentse Rinpoche, and therefore, according to his words, it will work and you can practice the text. Nevertheless, please aspire to receive the Lung directly from Rinpoche or any other authentic master and lineage master, yeah, for the real blessing. But yeah, I will try to do my best. I will do it in Tibetan, and it's, of course, not like the Tibetans. I'm not that fast. And okay. The main thing is please feel the presence of Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo. You have already developed Bodhicitta, and then I'm just reading through it in Tibetan. So the title is Tsammulamgi Rimpe Nedupe Dorjulu Dutsi Segma. And then the text says, Aho, Shihin Kane Dakpe Öse Gilong Du, Sinang Riktang Lundrup Shempro Rusha We, Kajon Yendlak Dünden Yeshe Kinang Yen, Orgen Tsoke Lame Drame Dukyong Shik, Neka Dajo Topa Lekje Kidre Bu, Namshi Chame Drenpa Damche Kilko Ma, Ledre Tsurshen Langdo Dunma Yi Yang Tse, Ningne Korwa Kyowa Talam Kijukgo, Somla Kyapso Drova Yunten Gichi Mo, Jangshub Semni Kiepa Tekchen Gitza Wa, Tsoksak Dripchung Chunpa Nyamtok Kishing Sa, Mögu Lame Naljo Namden Gishok Sing. Sianang Lako Shaba Kierem Gita Tuk, Lungsim Yame Gompa Tsokrim Gining Ku. Yingri Chungjo Kyangwa Tsokshin Gijok So, Drame Ne Du Nunpe Kelsang Laja We, Öse Pema Drave Sinkam Ki Usu, Tsalung Tikle Namdak Tsokye Ki Lama, Ngensum Rango Trepeng Tso Dangdrak Ne, Tset Chik Jalu Drupe Mönlam Shikshu Go. That's it.
Thank you. So, as we begin, then I first want to clarify it's not a practice that I do, and in general, it is a very beautiful vajra song text that I was moved deeply by when I read it, and Arnie asked me if I would be interested in working with that to share with people. And I'm very happy to do that because I would love all of you to enjoy this beautiful text in your own everyday lives. And but I wanted to share with you, first of all, some points about how to approach a text like this. That I feel like in case of every text, it's applicable. And so the first thing I think is that when you do your practice as Vajrayana Buddhist people, we all come under the umbrella of our great guru's blessings. And so whatever we lack, we can kind of turn to them with recognition that I aspire to be like you. I aspire to be able like you. And though I'm not so able, I really, please accept this as if I could do it just like you. And that way you bring the presence of your teacher to the moment so that you're not alone. You're never really alone. That's a complete, it's a complete misunderstanding to think that we are ever really alone. We always have the presence of absolute truth. And for us, that presence of absolute truth is embodied by our teachers. And so when you bring your teacher to the moment with you, as you do your practice, as you live your life, as you carry them with you all the time, you are not bringing something that's missing. You're noticing something that's present. And so what I would suggest is how we're taught to do this is to visualize our teacher above the crown of our head, as our great master, present and omniscient and aware in front of us, with us. The way I do it is kind of like seeing things the way that I'm seeing things. Like, are you getting an eyeball of this, Rinpoche? Are you checking this out? Do you see? It's sort of like my companion along with everything. And especially when you practice. But it isn't only the guru that should be present with you. You should also have all other beings, because in this moment, they are timelessly present with us wherever they are in their ordinary experience of reality. And so it almost feels like being a sandwich, kind of between the guru and all lost mother sentient beings. There's you coming to aspire to practice, coming to aspire for realization, coming in great respect and devotion, like a window, sort of, maybe not peanut butter, sort of something clear that it passes through from you to all beings, that the presence of absolute truth could be found by every being. And so we have in that moment our refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, the Lama, the Yidam, and the Dakini. We have the three kayas, and we have also all the unaware ones, the unknowing ones that we treasure so deeply as having been kind to us in lives previous and cared for us. And now, if not me, then if not you, then who that would represent them, that would include them? And so they're included with us when we practice. There's nobody missing, not in any of the realms of possibilities. They're all present at this moment. And so that sort of sets up the practice environment, whether it's a formal practice environment or it's an informal practice environment, which means everyday life, that you go about in your everyday life. And so then the next point that lunged into my mind when my mind woke up this morning from sleep was about contemplation and relaxation. And this is how my teacher, Chagdud Tulku Rinpoche, taught us how to approach understanding things, is that we use contemplation to think about it. And so that's what I want to invite all of you to do with me today as we go through the practice together, is to think about it. But thinking alone isn't really sufficient, because it's only one part of our mental ability, is to be able to think about things. And we should be thinking about things, and we should be thinking well, deeply, profoundly. And so how are we taught to think? Well, we're taught to think, first of all, with compassion. And as we started already by saying that we're including all mother sentient beings, we're including them understanding that they're in trouble. There's just no way to pretend that it's all okay. Or if we could just tweak it a little bit, it could be okay. There's no way to make ignorance adequate or sufficient or workable. Ignorance is a problem, and it's a lie. In that we don't understand what's really true, we are abiding in a state of not knowing what's true, which means we're confused and lost and in most cases deluded, really deluded about what's going on and what's happening. And so compassion is about understanding there's a problem here. We've got a problem. And it isn't only us. This is a problem that applies to every unenlightened being. Any being that's holding to the centrality, the fictitious centrality of I, is a lost and confused being who has perfect Buddha nature, but is unaware of it. And so compassion is something that we think about as we approach the process of contemplation, asking questions, getting answers, growing in our understanding, all from this great quality of compassionate, open inclusion of every other being. And then there's this, contemplation. So we're thinking about compassion. We're thinking about what does it mean? We're thinking about how do we apply it? We're thinking about the effort that we make to have compassion for all beings, and then the wishes and the effort, and also then we relax the mind. So we only think for so long. And then we drop the thoughts. That's called relaxation. Because relaxing allows your mind to have a more vast scope, but not as an object that you look upon or you think about, but rather just dropping the effort of the intellect and relaxing the mind in its openness. So we contemplate and we relax. Chagdud Tulku Rinpoche always explained this like a teeter-totter. He said, we tend to be so overly developed as intellectual thinkers that it's like we have an elephant on one side of the teeter-totter. And then we think of the past and the present and the future, and we've got an elephant on top of an elephant on top of an elephant. And, my imagination runs wild, and I've got, one big elephant, little, and then on the one that very tippy top, there's a teeny tiny elephant with an umbrella and a tutu. These are the ways I think about things. But it's all on the intellectual side. There's nothing much going on the other side of the teeter-totter. We just don't have much capacity to relax our mind. And so we drop it, elephants off the teeter-totter, and we drop it and we relax for a split second, maybe two. And if those of you that are like good at this, maybe you can manage it a little bit longer. But even then, if you're counting the time, you're not relaxing the mind. And so then contemplate and relax. Contemplate and relax. At first, it's just so much contemplation and teeny tiny bit of relaxing. But as you get a little bit better at it, this movement of contemplating and relaxing starts to be more balanced. Not that balance is the point. Excuse me, Rinpoche would always act like he had indigestion if someone said they needed balance. So it's not like really balance is the idea. More, it's about the inseparability of the fulcrum point. That there is a simultaneity, openness, and its radiance of thought. And so that fulcrum point is really the best meditation that has openness and understanding that are not at odds with each other. And because the teeter-totter is really just one board. It's not two things. It's just two sort of processes, but it's not two things. The nature of your mind has qualities of intellect and thoughts and emotions and everything, all that kind of stuff, elephants on top of elephants with the umbrella and the tutu. But you also have this openness of being. And so contemplation and relaxation is not just about shifting, it's about coming to that non-divided place of open awareness and recognition, spontaneous display and recognition. So contemplate, compassion, and relax. And then sometimes you remember the Lama. Oh my goodness. You remember the Lama, like in this case, you remember, Khyentse Wangpo, you remember your teacher, Dzongzar Khyentse, you remember the presence of perfection that is your guru, and you are thinking, remembering, thinking, devotional, hopeful, aspiring, and then you relax. Contemplate and relax. Compassion, relax. Calling the Lama, prayer, relax. And this kind of quality of contemplation and relaxation. And sometimes you also allow yourself to be committed. Like, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this. This is my commitment from now until samsara is empty. This is what I'm doing. Thinking, moving, dedicating your inclusivity for all beings to be free of suffering, that you're going to place them at the level of enlightenment. You need to attain enlightenment in order that you can place them at the level of enlightenment. It's not just about you attaining enlightenment. It's that every being could attain enlightenment. Contemplating, then relax and drop it. Thoughts will arise quickly again, but instead of ordinary thoughts, then you go back to the contemplation. And in our case, our contemplation then is, just like to relax your mind in the radiant display of open awareness is aho. And there we meet our teacher. There is the great Vajra song. And so then maybe we can just read through slowly, line by line, and give ourselves a chance to contemplate the line, because the lines are rich and they're beautiful. And they are the spontaneous song of the realization of a great master, sharing the poetry and meter of his brilliance with us by these words in this line, timelessly spoken like Guru Rinpoche himself. And so we'll read it together. I'll read it and you can read it out loud, or give yourself time. And we'll take moments, not, long time, but we'll take moments. And you may embrace contemplation and relaxation line by line. And feel free, if there are any highlights in the text, to search the definitions if you need, so that you understand what is being presented by the translation. Aho. In the expanse of the luminous clarity of primordial purity, the basic space of the ground, the manifestation of the ground, radiant awareness, appears as the reflection of wisdom. endowed with the 7 factors of union, which dawn as great spontaneous perfection. Lake-born Origin Guru, care for me without ever parting.
Let's just rest in that until Lama Tsering comes back.
Pamela, you're back now, so you can talk.
We'll go ahead.
Just meditated in the last words you mentioned, which was
Okay, we left off at Lakeborn Urgyen Guru. Care for me without ever parting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where you came back.
Freedoms and advantages that are so difficult to find is the result of my good deeds. Remembering the uncertainty of the time of death is my impetus to practice the sublime Dharma. Correctly adopting and rejecting actions and their effects is the highest pinnacle of my aims. Heartfelt sadness towards cyclic existence is my gateway to enter the path of liberation. Taking refuge in the three jewels is the foundation of enlightened qualities. Generating twofold bodhicitta is the root of Mahayana. Diligence in accumulating merit and purifying obscurations is the fertile field for experience and realization. Devotional Guru Yoga is the pillar of practice. Perceiving whatever arises as the enlightened body of the deity is the accumulation of the generation stage. Meditating on the winds inseparable from the mind is the heart essence of the perfection stage. Cultivating the union of basic space and awareness is the engagement of the great perfection. by having the good fortune to continuously apply the key points along with resting in the direct recognition of my true nature. The lake-born Guru, the channels, winds, and drops are fully purified. In the center of the lotus net, pure realm of luminous clarity. May my aspiration to accomplish the rainbow body in this very life be achieved. This arose from the depths of the throat of Khyentse Wangpo, the servant who delights the lake-born Guru. So thank you for all your patience with interruptions and what I would say is like the reiteration of the truth of things. As we know, everything is impermanent and fragile, but the Guru and the teachings and the blessings of absolute awareness are never impermanent or fragile. They're timeless and present, whether we have internet or not. So now I don't have much more to say officially. These words are descriptive and clear, and everything is pretty obvious. But if you have a question or two that I can answer, I'll be happy to share that. Otherwise, I think that this is a prayer that can go right along with your recitations of the 7-line prayer anytime in your practice as you do your Guru Yoga day by day. You should enjoy it. You can memorize it. It's so short. It's easy to bring to your mind all the time. And that's how I think you should work with it, is as a general approach to contemplation and relaxation, as a very deep intimacy between you and Guru Rinpoche.
Thank you so much, Lama. We have 2 questions, at least now in the chat. One is, if we perceive everything that arises as the enlightened body of the deity, so is this a path to enlightenment? And will it help us to go through the bardo?
Yes and yes. It is not easy to do, because we generally think of things separate and bound by time. And so what it does in your Guru Yoga, if you are able to give everything that you see, hear, taste, touch, remember, everything that is your activity of experience as the embodiment of non-divided absolute awareness, which is the Guru, then yes, it corrects every disturbance and mistake that we have in place, which is really what a path does for us. The path is not making Buddha. The path is not making awareness. The path is removing the not knowing of the true nature of the mind. And that movement from not knowing to knowing is necessary for us, because we're so deeply, drowning in not knowing. But I mean, ultimately, not knowing something is sort of just a mask or sort of a veil or maybe an oversight, because we're so caught up with what we think that we know. And that not knowing better has misled us forever, as if time were true, when it isn't. And so the path and all the ways we're given by our great masters, every part of it is to move from the not knowing to the knowing, means letting go of the not knowing. And we do that by embracing the truth. That's the fastest path to removing a lie, is embracing the truth, which was always there anyway. So yes, and yes.
Thank you. There is another question that I feel is related to it: how to maintain the illusory perception of reality, how to maintain that perception.
I think maintaining something is sort of an illusion of time. Again, that thing about there seems to be a thread that we're trying to keep. And that thread gives us a sensation of time. And so I think you should drop that and drop and drop and drop 1,000 times, 1,000 times, 1,000 times a day. Let go of the thread, drop it and drop it and drop it. And what doesn't drop is not maintained, because, maintaining something, you have to, pull up your muscles, and you have to hold on, and you have to, you're looking back to see if it's working, and you're doing all these things that are droppable. And so again, another thing that always made Rinpoche act like he had a stomach ache was people who said they don't have stability, they can't maintain their practice, like he was going to vomit. He was dramatic. I got it from him. I can blame him for that. But anyway, I think it's better to not try to maintain, but just drop it and drop it and drop it and drop it. And what you find when you relax like this, contemplate, drop it. You had to think about it to drop it. Contemplate, drop it. Like dropping it, you realize what drops and what doesn't drop. What doesn't drop is not maintained. It's just always. Even timelessly. It's not even always as in time. It's just not possible to not be. There's no negation there. There's nothing missing. And so I think that's kind of a better approach than thinking to maintain. And how Rinpoche taught me was a very sweet, sweet teaching. I cherish it. He gave me a needle and a piece of paper. And to push the needle through the paper, there's a teeny tiny hole. And then do it many times. And pretty soon the hole is like, oh my goodness. And you push and push and push and poke and poke and poke. And pretty soon pieces of the paper fall away. It's not a hole anymore. It's not a paper anymore. The only thing that happened was you poked a hole in it. And you did it many times. And you saw that, it was just a block. It's just gone. The paper's gone. And what's there is there. Clear, open. I love that teaching.
Thank you. Then there is a very practical question. It is basically when we are feeling very worn down by samsara because there's so much suffering and we are exhausted of coping with karmic phenomena. So how do we still keep like a fresh beginner's mind, so that we can relax and in a luminous way and and not like bogged down so much?
I think that that goes to joy. Joy is sort of when the paper's gone. Even joy is when you first see that there's a little bit of light popping through that hole. The first hole you can see, you can see. And there's joy in that. And so there is a necessity to cultivate a distaste for samsara, but that's because we have such a taste for it. It's not that it's true at all. It's not even true. And so to be mad at it or depressed about it or upset by it or, what do you call that? Like, discouraged by, oh my goodness, however, forever, and all that. Yes, there is the necessity to understand that it is an absolutely screwed up system and it won't work. And you need to kind of like understand, you can't stand on that. It's not going to hold you up. It's going to fail you. But then you drop it. You drop it and you drop believing in it. And you understand, okay, it's like when somebody's trying to sell you the Golden Gate Bridge and you're actually thinking about how to borrow the money. And then you're thinking, how I'm going to explain this to my wife. And then you're thinking, what am I going to, what's the interest rate going to be? You start thinking about how all the problems with it. And you get to the point where you understand that was never true in the first place. The other guy was never going to sell me the Golden Gate Bridge. That was a complete fraud. And I was believing it. So it's not that it's so much trouble to get the loan. It's so much trouble that you believe the fraud. And so then you drop it and you relax your mind and you laugh at the fact that you got carried away by that. Because perfection can't be missing. It's just that we've been misled. We, have been buying fraudulent things. Believing that form has solidity, believing that time and sound and feelings and emotions and gain and loss and praise and criticism, oh my goodness. And pretty soon you're tired. Of course you're tired. Of course you're tired. But just drop the fraud and you're not tired anymore. There's joy, delight, perfection, inherent in every moment, present, just no paper in the way. Not even something solid, just a misunderstanding. So you kind of have to use your intelligence again and again to walk yourself back out of being fooled. And that's something you can rejoice that you have the opportunity in this life. My goodness, you are so lucky that you have the Dharma, you have the teachings. It's something to it's just refreshing and amazing. And then you should enjoy that. It's really it's not wrong to be happy with the truth. it's just wrong to be selfish about it. And so then you would think, by this may all beings have truth. May they all realize their perfect Buddha nature. May they all be free of this, cocoon of delusion that's wrapping them up in something that isn't even true. Anyway, that's kind of how I do it. Very dramatically.
And I feel it's very related to that. There's one question, especially about young people, if they are depressed by the state of the world, and the newspapers, news and everything. Do you have an advice to them?
I think that they're right. They're right about being depressed about the state of the world. All of us are right about the suffering of samsara. It's correct. Suffering, the samsara is an ocean of suffering, but it's not true. It's not true. It's an illusion, like a dream. How sad and brutal the dream is, but it's not true. And so that's why it isn't going to, you're not going to get them to just like kind of be okay about samsara. I mean, not if they're smart. If they're, just like you fool them into thinking they could just have a bunch of money, or they could just, go on some trips, or they could like have some good sex and they're going to be fine. Or, they could just, I don't know, play some video games and get through the night. You're not going to fool them that it's not going to work to make them feel, pat them on the head and say, please just tolerate it all like we do and be okay about it. Enjoy your suffering like we do with, our boats and our, Netflix. And, but if you can bring them to the teachings, bring them to the Buddha, bring them to me. Yes, this is something the Buddha agreed with you. Did you know the Buddha agreed with you? Samsara is completely awful. The Buddha agreed with you. You're right. But there's more to being truly, fully right. And that has joy. Not that you should be happy with what it is that is samsara, but that you should use the human life to realize the nature of the mind beyond the platform of ignorance and confusion. So if they're smart, I think when people are faced with the teachings of the Buddha, it makes sense to them when they're smart. And when they have enough time that they can pay attention, and they have the fortune that they could pay attention. And so that's what I would try to do. And I especially think that young people are really, this is their chance. They need the teachings. We all do.
Thank you. There is one question, maybe I just show you the text about this line, so that our channels, winds and drops are fully purified. So that is really referring to our body, right? That is the question. And maybe if you could say a few more words what that entails.
This is a little bit hard to talk about because I myself don't know everything about it, but I know that our body is actually a Buddha body. It's a body of light and wisdom and freedom, and it is called vajra body. But we don't experience our body that way. We experience our body through these veils of confusion and delusion, birth, sickness, aging, death. Our karmic, kind of load is you're tall, you're short, wrinkles, the whole thing is the karmic load of previous actions of delusion and confusion, utilizing physicality in such a way that we've hurt and harmed others in this life and lives previous. And so as a result, we're not experiencing vajra body. But we have vajra body. What we're experiencing is this solidity and this mortality and this vulnerability that is the cumulative effect of all of our actions in lives previous and delusions previous and confusions previous. It's like when you're dreaming and you've got your body in your dream. Well, it's not really your body in your dream. It's your body in your bed, right? But you're not experiencing that body in your bed. You're experiencing the habit of your body in a dream. And what the Buddha is sharing with us is that we have a greater body than we can even imagine. It is the body of the inseparability of emptiness and radiance. And that is deity. That is perfection. That is vajra body. And that body has qualities of channels and chakras and movements that are now all clogged up and solidified and bent and distorted. And as a result, our experience is sort of like that, clogged up, bent, distorted. And then we die. Buddha doesn't die. Your vajra body doesn't die. Your vajra body wasn't born. But what we experience is the birth and the sickness and the aging and the death. Not that I'm not complaining because I have a human body. And as a human, I can listen to the teachings, I can contemplate the teachings, I can purify karma, I can accumulate the process of cultivating actions of love and compassion and wisdom that will accumulate merit and wisdom. And so that I can eliminate the delusion body and attain realization, if not in this life, then certainly at the moment of death. And so that is, all of these things are kind of the practices that great masters use and do. And it's certainly possible for any of you who have that kind of a qualified teacher who can empower you in these methods that can help you. And here, Khyentse Wangpo is saying, yes, this is the guru. This is the way to attain the enlightened mind of your nature.
Thank you. I don't see any more questions or virtual hands. So.
All right. Well, I'm sorry we had an interruption, but I'm really happy we could catch up again and keep going. I'm happy about that. I'm happy all of you that are enjoying this beautiful project of the Khyentse Vision and the magnificent translations. I really encourage you, when you want to really work with a text, you should get the Lung if you don't already have it. That will help you. It helps you to be able to understand the text better and to, it's the way it's meant to be done. And I'm happy that it's not hard to get. Bother Arnie all the time. Call him anytime and get the Lung, and that will help you open the door to understanding it all a little bit better. And then, of course, get the empowerments and make sure that you can you really apply yourself in the proper manner, because you shouldn't be too lazy about this path. It does require an effort, but that's because it requires an effort not to drown in the ocean of samsara and to wake up from the dream of drowning in the ocean of samsara. And so I encourage that. Don't be don't be too much of a baby about it. I mean, I don't mean to be insulting or anything, but it's really good to understand that I am going to do this. So even if it takes me forever, I am going to do this. It's never, ever off my plate that I am going to do this. This is called commitment. And that you apply yourself with that kind of heart, because it is our job to empty samsara. It's not somebody else's job. And I love that last part about, we are the ones who must free all beings. And I think as Western people, I don't know, we always think, we like the Dharma. We like the Dharma, but attain enlightenment? Are you kidding? What are you talking about? It's like, not me. Of course, not me. I have things to do. I have kids, I have places to go. I have stuff, I'm busy. I have to catch a plane. What are we talking about here? We're talking about you with your mind is what we're talking about here. And your mind is what must change. And by changing your mind, you have the capacity to bring benefit to the others. And it is you. It's not that you're supposed to be waiting on me, or you're supposed to be waiting on Arnie to do it. It's each of us. It is me. I will do it. That commitment, it's everything here. That's what gives you your life. That's what gives you your path. And think about how far distracted you are and how you think, what do you think these other things are going to do? It doesn't mean you throw your kid in the river. I'm not saying that. But it doesn't mean because you're raising children that you're not going to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. Who's going to help your children? And so there's a commitment here. Contemplate, relax, compassion, relax, commitment, relax. O Lama, infallible, constant protector, you who know, help me know the truth, inseparable with you. Relax, contemplate, relax, ask questions, get answers, and keep going.
Good, then let's dedicate. By this merit, may all attain omniscience, may it defeat the enemy wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara, may all beings be free. Lord of the ocean of teachings in Tibet without bias, universal monarch of 7 wondrous transmissions, Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo, Manyu Gosha in person, may all be auspicious for your lineage to spread and flourish. As long as space remains, as long as the world remains, may I too remain to elevate the sufferings of the world. Thank you so much, Lama.
Thank you, Arnie. Thank you so much.
Thank
Everybody
so
who
much.
works so hard, translators and administrators and, everybody who's doing the jobs. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, really, in the name of everybody, of course, also a Cancer Vision Project. I mean, thank you so much for being here, Lama Tsering, for the second time in our theater here. Please come back again and again and unzip and the text of Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo for us and bring them to our heart like you always do. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, as Lama Tsering just said, yeah, thank you also to Ina and Rashmi, who are always more in the background. Thank you so much for Lopun Tsunam Jamtse for translating this text so beautifully. Thank you, of course, for Chogdud Khyentse Rinpoche, who is the mastermind behind all this. And thank you, Christina, for the Spanish translation, Masha for the Russian translation, Luciano for the Portuguese translation, and Olivia for the French translation. And if you want to see Lama Tsering in person in Europe, somewhere there is in the chat there is a little bit the tour is mentioned, the schedule in Marseille and Barcelona in November and December. And if you want to revisit this text, we do that in 47 hours. Charles and I will do like a more workshop-y kind of tutorial, what we always do, you know, based on a teaching, then we will revisit the text more in a workshop style. So Charles and I will do that. Charles is one of our senior editors, co-founder of Padmakara. Yeah, he's just Charles. So it's a big honor to have him on board. That's it. Thank you, Lama Tsering.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Arnie. Bye.
Bye.